Hello everyone, thanks for taking time out of your Wednesday to join us, and welcome to this educational presentation of a strategy I've been trading for over 42 years. Now, I know a lot of you would say, well, why are you talking about something that you've been trading for that long? Why would you want to share it if it works for you? Well, I'd like to start out by actually telling you how I first started trading, which is probably very similar to what a lot of you are currently doing or probably have done in the past. For example, let's look at this chart in ATGE, all right, just for educational purposes here. This is the way I used to trade. This is why I'm currently trading the strategy I'm going to be sharing with you today. I'd look at a chart like this and say, well, I'll do my research, and I took that online course that talks about all the institutions. So the institutions are buying according to the information they gave me, so I don't want to go against the institutions, right? Because they must know what they're doing. So this is a very bullish chart for me. And then I think about, well, I also take into account that this is a bullish flag. I read that book on technical analysis. And so this is very, very positive, because what usually happens when you get this consolidation here in a flag, we eventually break out and continue to the upside. Now, on top of that, once again, this is strictly from a reference from what I actually did. When I learned about trading candlesticks, I would have seen that there was an actual bullish engulfing pattern right here. So that's an extremely bullish indicator telling me that most likely prices are going to go up. So I had all the justification to purchase this stock, right? I mean, after all these things that are taught to us that are supposed to work, that have stood the test of time, according to what the teacher said, and what are extremely, extremely powerful, well, I had 3 of them in my corner. So this is the way I would usually trade. So I would jump in and buy right here based on all the 3 justifications I just shared with you. And then this would most likely happen, okay? What happened to all of the traditional things that are supposed to be working, following the institutions, following the big money, looking at technical analysis, looking at candlestick chart? How come none of that worked? So it was very discouraging, and most likely I took a loss here. But then all of a sudden I said, well, you know what? I can't just sit here and play the victim part, because what we've done now is turned into a downtrend. So I've got to go with it. So if we're going lower, we've broken all these support levels here. So I most likely want to just try and make back a little bit of what I lost. So I would sell, and then this would happen, okay? Now, once again, this is probably the way 99.9% of all traders trade. And don't feel discouraged, because as I said, this is the way I used to trade. This is why my first year or so of trading, I thought I wasn't going to be in the business much longer, because I was doing all the things I had been taught, following the institutions, following the big banks, looking at technical analysis, at candlesticks, and nothing seemed to work in terms of consistency. I was lucky enough to have some mentors that saw how much I was struggling on the floor of the stock market, and they said, Steve, listen, there are a few simple rules that you need to follow in order to really get in sync with what the market wants to do. And they taught me this simple but very powerful strategy that would have bypassed all the things that made me lose money and actually generated a buy signal that was able for me to capture most back of what I've lost and to go long in the market. Because this is really based off what the market is doing, not based off what some institution is doing, not based off what some candlestick pattern is doing, but based off what the market says it wants to do. I know a lot of you are saying, well, how do I know what the market wants to do? Well, that's the beauty of what I developed with Pro Trader Strategies. We developed the PTS Primo charting platform that actually teaches you how to trade this strategy that is based off of market momentum. So this is going to be a great educational presentation today. I'm going to share with you a lot of insight into this method. So welcome once again. My name is Stephen Primo, president and founder of Specialist Trading. 10 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies with one goal, and that was simply to educate traders around the world. If you've come here today thinking that I'm going to give you, some information on what the market's doing currently so that you can, take any one of the signals I'm going to be giving you and telling you what the perfect market is or the perfect time frame is, well, you've come to the wrong place, because that goes entirely against our philosophy. We don't believe in that. In fact, what we believe is that's the reason why most traders fail, is because you're blindly listening to someone or something else. It could either be institutions, candlesticks, or it could be some guy in a chat room, but you are not part of the process, and you're not listening to the most important thing, which is the chart in front of you. That's where everything comes from, because that's the source of your trading. So that's what we teach. We teach you how to listen to the market, how to know what it wants to do, and then we give you strategies so that you can jump on board in that direction. All right, I developed the platform and these strategies with Pro Trader Strategies so that you could really be in charge of your own trading for the very first time. So you'll see how simple this process is in today's webinar. But before we begin, as always, we are required by law to first show you this. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results trading this new strategy, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also, please remember, since we are an educational company, that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, I know a lot of you have already decided to join us, but if you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's a lot more free education that I post on a daily basis. Little bits of financial wisdom and lots of snapshots of chart signals that we have on there. So that's a lot of great free educational information. Please, if you haven't done so already, follow us on Twitter. Now, as I stated, if you think that we're like most webinars you've gone to where the guy's going to tell you, well, we're really bullish on gold today, or we really think the market's going to start into a major downtrend or uptrend, or this is the stock you should buy, it's going to double in the next week, you have really come to the wrong place. This goes entirely against our philosophy. Now remember, I have been trading for now 43 years, starting next month. It'll be 43 years. And the reason why I really believe that most traders fail, if there's one thing I've noticed and learned in my last 4 decades of trading, is that the reason why most traders fail is because you're blindly giving your power away. You know, you feel as if you don't have enough experience, you haven't been trading long enough, you don't have enough knowledge, so rather than make the decisions on your own, why don't you let someone or something else just make the decisions for you? This is a recipe for disaster. I can't think of a better way to lose money than to do that, okay? Everyone has to find their own way. Everyone has to make their own decisions. This is what we are at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. Because you see, our goal is not to force feed you signals and tell you what to trade. Our goal is simply to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. Because once you're taught how to trade, then you are in charge. Then you make your own trading decisions. You are in charge of your own trading destiny. And in my opinion, the only traders who have ever had that longevity, that ability to succeed and be consistent, are the ones that make their own decisions. So even though we have strategies, even though they come with buy and sell signals, we provide them as a service, but we give you multiple ways in which to trade these strategies. Every trader should trade according to their own means. This is why 2 traders can take the same signal and come up with entirely different results. In fact, we encourage this because that means you're making your own decisions. These are not systems, they're simply educational tools designed to put you in charge, okay? So this is what we're going to do, and you'll see how much attention to detail we give to this in today's educational webinar. Now, before we begin, I know a lot of you would like to ask as many questions as you know, every time a slide is presented, but if we do that, we'll be here far too long. There's a lot of market today that we want to view, so I don't want to take up the entire day. If you have a question, please wait till the end. I promise I'll get to all your questions at the very end. I know a lot of you are asking, well, Steve, is this being recorded? What if I have to leave early, or if I am having trouble with the webinar technically? Don't worry, we'll send each and every one of you a link to this recording, okay? So if you happen to join us late, we have a good crowd here today. Please wait till the end of class in the next half hour or so to ask any questions. All right, we're going to be talking today about Strategy 4. You've heard me talking about it today. In fact, Strategy 4 is the strategy I've been trading for over 42 years, going on 43, and a little bit of full disclosure here. I was trading strategy number 4 prior to this webinar today. I was intraday trading the E-mini futures, and I'm going to show you the process of how simple it is to apply strategy number 4. All right, so here are some of the highlights of this. It was originally designed for traders looking to catch quick momentum. When I first started trading this method on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, where I first started trading some 42 years ago, we were in and out of trades in like 2 or 3 minutes. But we know that not everyone trades that way, so we've devised ways to stay into the trade weeks, months, even years if you'd like, okay? But it's based off of catching momentum. Now, it's a pattern recognition strategy. We are looking for a specific pattern on the chart in front of you. We are not concerned with what volume is. We are not concerned with candlesticks. We are not concerned with what the institutions are doing. We are not concerned with earnings, all right? Trust me, I used to be concerned with all of those things 42 years ago, and they didn't help me a dime, okay? So my mentor said, Steve, listen, if you're investing, if you're holding on to a long-term position for a long time, sure, you need to know those things. But if you're holding a position anywhere from 5 minutes to maybe even 5 months, there's really no reason to concern yourself with those things. They're just useless noise. That's what my mentors taught me. So I stopped looking at all those things 4 decades ago. So we're only looking for this pattern on the chart in front of us. And this pattern will generate, in a 5-minute chart, on currency pairs, on stocks, on Bitcoin, on commodities, on futures, the way I was trading it this morning. Now, this method only uses one indicator. I'm going to share that with you today and show you how to use it on a really higher level, and that's the 50-period simple moving average. We call that our buy-sell line, okay? That's the only indicator. Everything else is the pattern that we teach you in the course. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, so you're going to teach us this pattern, right? I'm sorry, I cannot teach you the pattern, this proprietary pattern. That wouldn't be fair. We have students around the world in over 115 countries and in every state in the United States trading strategy number 4. And it wouldn't be fair to them if I just gave away the entire rules to this pattern, okay? But I will share with you the process and how simple it is to identify these setups on our new platform, okay? All right, so let's begin the process, and we're going to go through it step by step. And we're going to do it on our platform because remember, if this is an education company, like I said, I am the prime educator, right? But I can't be sitting next to each and every one of you. So Pro Trader Strategies and I came up with a great idea. Let's design a platform that will do that work for me. It will actually teach you how to identify these setups and teach you how to trade strategy number 4. All right, so here's the process that I go through. Step 1, choose the market you're interested in buying. All right, we're going to look at buy setups right off the bat. So, and we say choose the market, and I know that sounds kind of facetious, but trust me, you can trade this on any market. It doesn't matter. That's why we say choose the market. It could be stocks, it could be futures, currency pairs, Bitcoin, commodities. It makes no difference, and it makes no difference what time frame. Now, we're going to have a propensity to look at stocks today, but trust me, it can be applied to anything. As I stated, I was using it this morning on the E-mini futures. Okay, so let's look at this older chart at NTAP. All right, in hindsight, someone could say, well, yeah, Steve, easy to see that this has been going up, and I would have loved to have bought it, but I want to know somewhere back here that I should have been buying this, okay? Well, here's the step-by-step process. After we've chosen the market, we go to step 2 on our platform. We click on the buy-sell line. This is in the upper green strategy tab. Now remember, this is the 50-period simple moving average, where we call it the buy-sell line, and I'll show you why. All right, here's what you do on our platform. Step 2, click on this, and you'll see a drop-down menu. Here are the different features and ways in which to view. In this particular scenario, we're going to click on Fluid because this is a really, really high probability way of identifying, the most consistent setups. And once we click that on, the screen will automatically change to a bluish color or a reddish orange color. So what does this mean? Well, what we want to see is anywhere from 3 to 5 bars closing either above or below. In this case, since we're already below, we want to see for the first instance of 3 to 5 closing above. This will automatically tell us 3 to 5 closes that you are in the buy zone. That from this point forward, you should only be looking to buy this stock or whatever market you're looking at from a buyer's point of view. This automatically eliminates half the battle, and it will decrease your losses. Why? Because you are in sync with the overall trend. This is such a simple but powerful process. I've often stated to my students around the world, if there were only one tool I could use for the rest of my life, it would be the buy-sell line. And we've kicked it up a notch by turning it into our fluid feature, okay? Now, if price all of a sudden started to falter and go below, 3 to 5 bars below would now be in the sell zone. But since we are not in the sell zone, I should say, we are only in the buy zone. Okay, so now we know that we have a buyer's point of view. Now, we want to look for strategy number 4, setups. Now, we teach you what to look for, what this pattern is in the online course. But in order for you to check your work, obviously, if I were sitting next to you, I could say, okay, well, that's right. You've properly identified a setup, but I can't be there with everyone. So how do we make it simple for you? Well, we go to step 3. Only trade the signals that have a steep upward sloping buy-sell line. So this is the first step. We want to look for this nice upward slope. You see right here in the buy-sell line, it's kind of going upward, but kind of faltering. It's kind of sideways here. But at this point, it starts to go up. This is the momentum we're looking to capture. So this is the first step in identifying the process. We want to see these this nice upward slope if we're buying. Now, obviously, if we were selling, we'd want to see a nice downward slope. But since price is in the buyer zone, we want to see the slope going higher. All right. Now we go to the fourth and final stage to look for setups. Click on Strategy 4 in the green upper strategy tab. Now remember, we've already taught you how to identify a setup in the online course. But in order to check your work, you would click on strategy number 4 right here. And let's say you think there are some buy signals right here. Let's check our work. Click on signal arrow in the drop-down menu. And guess what? You're right. There's a buy signal right there. So you're properly learning how to identify a buy signal. Had you taken that setup, well, in a couple of weeks, there's a nice 10-point gain. All right. See how simple this is? You're learning how to make decisions for the very first time. You didn't have to worry about what the earnings were. You didn't care what the institutions were doing. You don't care about volume. You're not looking at candlesticks here. All we're looking at is a specific pattern that usually tells us, has a high level of consistency, where the market wants to go. Now, obviously, some news came out here which caused this to gap up. And someone would say, well, how did you know that? Did you follow the earnings, or did you know this announcement was going to be made? Absolutely not. I stopped looking at fundamental news 4 decades ago. It's not included at all or not required in this strategy. Our strategies are extremely simple, and they're only based on one thing, the chart in front of you. Now, there was a sell signal right here, and as you can see, it's X'd out. We wouldn't have taken that. Why wouldn't we have taken that? Well, remember, look at the slope. The slope is going sideways to up. In order to take a sell signal, we need an entirely different set of rules. We would need this to be a steep downward slope. So we're not taking this at all. So even though it generated a sell signal, that's something we would not have taken. This is the beauty of the fluid buy-sell line. All right, so let's look at some sell setups, some more sell setups. Obviously, we choose the market we're interested in selling. Here's DKS. Here's an older chart looking back in hindsight. Obviously, you would have wanted to sell, but you would have wanted to sell way up here before this big gap down, okay? Well, how could we have done that? First thing we do is apply the buy-sell line, step number 2 in the upper green strategy tab. Click that on, the drop-down menu appears, and in this instance, we're going to click on Fluid. Now, should we have ever even considered buying DKS? Absolutely not. Why? Because it's been in the sell zone the entire time. We never even had to wait for 5 bars to close below. It's always been in the sell zone, according to this chart here, going back. So, how do most traders lose money? They lose money by buying in the sell zone and by selling in the buy zone. You see, you're doing the opposite. And someone would say, well, that sounds silly. Why would we ever do that? Well, it's because of traditional wisdom. We're always taught to buy low and sell high, right? That's silly. Why would you want to sell something if it's going higher? Just go with it. And why would you buy something if it wants to go lower? You see, the market, not me, not some guy in a chat room, not some guy on TV, but the market right here is telling you it wants to go lower. So why are you bucking the trend? Why are you trying to pick a bottom? It's silly. You know, why are you trying to use some overbought, oversold oscillator? It doesn't make any sense. It's a lot easier to go with the flow of the current of the market. All right, so now we want to find the signals that have traded during a steep downward slope, and we can see here we have a really steep slope. All right, this entire time we've had a very steep slope, so we can take any and all signals if we want. We click on Strategy 4 in the upper green strategy tab to identify, but remember, this is not a system. We do not want our students to just blindly click on Strategy 4 and say, well, I really don't know what it's based off. I'll just take the signal. No, you have to know why a signal was generated before you click this on. You're just checking your work, because we will ultimately want you to get to the point where you don't even have to click this on anymore. You can automatically see where a signal has been generated, and guess what? Look at all the chances you had to get short before this big gap down. And even if you missed that, you had some chances to get short here before it went down even lower, okay? All right, so let's look at some more strategy number 4 examples. Now, these are older examples so that you can understand the concept. That's what we're teaching you today. We're teaching you the concept behind identifying these signals while using our platform, the platform that teaches you how to do this. Ultimately, towards the end of today's presentation, I'll show you a couple of setups that you could have taken last week. Okay, remember, we're going to be applying this process. So let's say we look at ATGE. Remember, we had looked at that earlier, and we originally thought that we're in a downtrend and we should have been selling, right? Well, what's the process we should be following? Well, instead of following the old in conventional ways of the process, which really lose money, let's apply the buy-sell line. And we see that we've had an upward slope the entire time, okay? Sure, we had one close below. The next day we opened below but closed above. Remember, we need 3 to 5 closes below to tell us that the trend is now down and we're in the buyer zone. I mean the seller zone. But we weren't. We only had one bar. That's not enough. So we look for setups, and guess what? There was a buy setup right here. So you would have bypassed this whole fake scenario of thinking that we're going higher right here based off the setups, because there was no signal being generated. We had to wait for the first signal to be generated, which is right here. All right, let's look at FTCH. All right, conventional wisdom would tell us, well, Steve, this is major support. All of the institutions are buying. That big online course I took for the institutions, they're all saying you got to buy here. This is a double bottom, major Fibonacci support. And on top of that, it looks like we're starting to head higher. So I want to be a buyer of this. Well, look what happened. What happened to the support? What happened to the buyers? It's silly. That stuff doesn't work. Take it from someone who traded that 4 decades ago. There's no consistency in that. Don't waste your time. All right, what was the market telling us? Well, if we applied the buy-sell line, it was telling us this entire time it wanted to go lower. Now, obviously, we had some closes above where you would have said, well, wait, Steve, we had more than 5 closes, so the market was telling us it wanted to go higher. Yes, you're right. But in order for this to happen, we would have had to have a signal generated here. And even if we did have a signal generated here, we would not have taken it. Why? Because look at the slope. The slope is going downward. Even if a buy signal was generated here, we're not going to take it because the slope is going down. In order to take a buy signal, the slope needs to be going higher. So let's see what the signals were. Do you think you could have done well taking any one of these signals? All right. We had a nice steep downward slope. All right, let's look at this example in letter G here. All right, obviously something came out where it gapped up really high here. If you apply the buy-sell line, look at this. The market was telling you the entire time this is in the buy zone, and it had a strong upward slope. If we apply the setups, look at all the chances you had to get long here, okay? Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, some of these, though, setups are better than others. I may have gotten stopped out. You're right, but in our course, remember, we're not telling you how to trade. We're teaching you how to trade. This means we give you various different places to enter, multiple places for stop placement, other exit levels. We give you upwards of 7 different exit levels. So it's up to you to choose which one makes you feel comfortable. For example, we have upwards of 6 or so different stop placements. If you use the most conservative stop placement, let's say on this one right here, well, you may have been stopped out by this bar. But if you used a little bit more moderate stop level, you may have had your stop down here, and you wouldn't have been stopped out at this level, and you would have been able to take advantage. Now, is one better than the other? No, the one that is the right one is the one that makes you feel comfortable. Because remember, our goal is to provide you with this information. Your goal is to decide which one works best for you. It's similar to a smorgasbord or a buffet line, okay? We provide you with all the great food and the delicacies, but it's up to you to choose which one it makes the perfect meal for you. Someone may take the steak. Someone may take the fish. Someone may take the Jell-O for dessert. Someone may take the chocolate cake. It makes no difference. It's your decision. All right, let's look at this example in HEI. Obviously, in hindsight, it wanted to go higher. Could we have taken advantage of this? Well, sure, you add the buy-sell line, and we've known well in advance that this wanted to go higher. And look at the slope of the buy-sell line. So all we have to do is take any signal, because the slope is very powerful, and look at all the chances you had to go long here. All right. If you had taken the very first cluster right here, that's 55 points potentially you could have captured in just about a month. How about this example here in Tiffany? All right, someone could say, well, Steve, the market's not telling me anything. It's going sideways. This is a range market. These are the markets where you always get whipsawed. I always seem to buy here on the breakout, and then it goes down and it breaks down, so I sell, and then it goes back up. I stay away from markets like these because the market doesn't tell me anything. Well, that's not true, because the market eventually fell out of bed. Was it telling anything to us in advance? Well, if we applied the buy-sell line, sure, it was telling us well in advance the majority of the bars were below, and we had a very steep downward slope the entire time. Now, sure, we had clusters here where we closed above, but you would not have taken advantage of that, thinking that, well, Steve says that if we're in the blue zone, you got to buy, right? No, we have to have a signal generated. And if a signal were generated, you don't want to take it because it's going against the flow of the buy-sell line. So let's add the signals. And we see here that one was added. All right, it was a buy signal. Should we have taken that? Absolutely not. The fluid buy-sell line is going lower. But we would have taken this one. So you see how the fluid buy-sell line kept us out of this losing trade and got us into the winning one for potentially capturing 20 points in a couple of weeks. How about this example in PSA? All right, here's the way I used to look at the charts, because I thought I'd learned everything. I knew all about trading. I took that course on candlesticks. In fact, I learned how to trade candlesticks from someone who was from Japan, who worked at a bank near the stock exchange where I used to work, and he taught me from Japan what the different candlestick patterns were. Now look at all these bearish engulfing patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4 bearish engulfing patterns. That's telling me that the market wants to go lower, right? And on top of that, look at all the down closes. We had some nice upward closes, but look at the market. It's telling me that 1, 2, all the way to 10 closes that were closed lower than where they opened. That's a very negative sign. That's the market telling me it wants to go lower, right? So I would normally sell, and then this would happen. So what happened to all this conventional wisdom that's supposed to work? Well, I didn't learn about the buy-sell line until my mentors taught me about it. Once I knew how to add this, it made everything so much simpler, and I didn't have to overcomplicate my trading with all these, non-conventional ways of trading that really have no consistency in them. So all I needed to see was where the majority of price was. It was above the buy-sell line, and now that we developed the fluid, we can now see how much momentum is. It's all going straight up. So these are all really good signs to go long. I don't care about bearish engulfing patterns. This is actually a buying opportunity. And on top of that, look at the buy signals that were generated. 100 points potentially I could have captured in the next month in PSA. Now here's an example in KMPR. How could I have taken advantage of this nice upward move? Well, first thing you do is go through the process. We apply the buy-sell line. Now obviously, the majority right here were below. But you would not have sold anything because look at the slope of the buy-sell line. So even if we had a sell signal, we're not going to sell. Now there was a sell signal right here. Should we take that? Obviously not, because the slope was going higher. So we didn't lose anything. Sometimes the best trades are the ones you never take, okay? So even though you may know how to identify a valid strategy number 4 sell signal, you need to know the slope of the buy-sell line, the fluid buy-sell line, to filter out some of these losing trades. All right, let's look at SHOP. Obviously, it's been going straight up on this daily chart. The slope has been extremely steady to the upside. So all we had to do is take any and all of the signals, potentially 230 points we could have captured. Now, I'm not saying you would have made 230 points. Trust me, I'm not saying that. I wouldn't have stayed long for 230 points. But that doesn't matter. We give you upwards of 7 different ways to exit. It's up to you to decide which one you want to stay in. Now, one of our exit strategies or methods could have kept you in this for potentially capturing 230 points. Others would have kept you in for maybe making 2 to 5 points. It's entirely up to you. There's no one right or wrong way to trade. The only wrong way to trade is when you blindly follow someone or something else. That's why I don't generate signals based on my trading. We do not have chat rooms or trading rooms at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. Why? Because that would turn your trading into a crutch. You would automatically want to do whatever we're telling you we're doing. And that goes against our philosophy entirely. All right, let's look at an example in BIDU. Obviously, we're in a strong downtrend, right? You want to just sell here. Well, now you want to buy, right? Well, what happens? Now you want to sell, all right? So this is the way most traders are always a day late and $1 short. They don't know what the trend is. That's the beauty of the fluid buy-sell line. If you simply add that, it takes all that guesswork out for you. There's no, well, we're going down, now we're going back up, now we're going back down. Right off the bat, we know that we're only going to be a seller. Why? Because there are absolutely no bars closing in the blue buy zone. So we're only going to be looking at this from a selling opportunity. And look at the slope. The slope is very strong to the downside. So we can take any signal here. Look at all these setups here that we could have taken. They could have potentially captured 22 points to the downside. Here's another example here. This one in SHAK. Obviously, it's been going straight up. We have a very strong upward slope. We never had 3 to 5 bars close below, so we only want to take the buy signals. Once we applied the buy signals, we had taken the very first ones here, potentially could have captured 50 points, potentially. As we look at TLRY, obviously it's been going down. I know students always say, well, Steve, gosh, I was long this in my long-term portfolio. I wish I would have known it was going lower, but who knew this stock was going to fall out of bed like this? Well, no one ever knows. But the fluid buy-sell line simply tells you what the market wants to do. And if you had applied that, you would have been out of this stock. In fact, you would have never even bought it, according to this, because look at, we've always been in the sell zone. Sure, we had some buys up here, but not enough to tell us to go long. So this is where you only want to be a seller of this. If we apply the seller's signals, well, 60 points to the downside, potentially you could have captured. All right, so let's recap before we go into the question and answer portion. Remember, step 1, choose your market. We say that because you can apply any market. Now, I know a lot of you say, well, Steve, I'm an intraday trader. Well, so am I. Like I said earlier, I was trading this prior to the market, to this webinar today, right, in the market opening. So it makes no difference which market you're trading, which direction you like to trade, which time frame. We have many traders that use this on commodities. It's entirely up to you. So choose the market and the time frame you want to trade. Step 2, click on the buy-sell line. Why? Because this is the most important tool that tells you what the market wants to do. Is it wanting to go higher in the buy zone? Does it want to go lower in the sell zone? Once you find that, well, you click on the fluid feature to tell you the slope of the buy-sell line. That will tell you where the momentum is. Many times you'll click on the fluid buy-sell line and the slope is sideways. What's that telling you? It's telling you there's no momentum, so it's probably best in your interest not to take any signals. Remember, you want a very strong upward slope in the fluid buy-sell line for buy signals, a very strong downward slope for sell signals. And then finally, click on Strategy 4. That will show you the up and down green arrows. Now remember, they are not just there to blindly click on. We teach you what to look for. Our goal ultimately is for you to be able to identify a setup without even having to click that on. So that's really where we're going. This is just there for educational purposes only. Now, all this process is yours on the PTS Primo charting platform, the educational platform that really teaches you how to trade strategy number 4. Now, remember, strategy 4 can be applied to virtually any market, any time frame, and any direction. That's the beauty of this method. So, we have a great discount for all of you taking time out of your Wednesday to attend today's webinar. We're going to offer you our PTS Primo strategy, the PTS Primo charting platform as well. Now, with the strategy, you're going to get all the rules to the pattern recognition method, all right? You're going to learn exactly what to look for. Now, we have an aggressive version as well as a conservative version. You're going to learn all the different entries, all the different exits, and all the different stop placements. If you combine them all together, there's roughly about between 20 and 21 different variables for all these different features. Remember, any market, any time frame, any direction. And on top of that, you're going to get educational correspondence with yours truly. You'll get my personal email address where you can contact me whenever you'd like. Now, there are 3 ways to become a course member, all right? We're going to give you 3 different options because we know that not everyone has the same preferences. So let's give you 3 different ways to learn strategy number 4 and start trading it ASAP. Here's option number 1. This includes all 15 educational videos with the complete entry and exit rules to strategy number 4. This is our online course for only $6.95, okay? So you're going to get all the rules and everything. You'll learn everything. You'll still get educational correspondence, but you won't get the up and down arrows. You won't get any of that reference to the buy-sell line. You'll just know exactly what to look for and how to generate these setups. Now, option number 2, you'll get the online course, the educational course, but it will include the automatic signal add-ons for your platform. Let's say you have TradeStation or NinjaTrader, okay, or MT4. Well, we will give you the add-on so that you will get the up and down little arrows so that you know when a signal has been generated, so you know exactly what to look for. So you can check your work to see that you're learning that you properly identified a valid setup. But this doesn't come on access with the fluid buy-sell line. So this brings us to option number 3. Option number 3, instead of getting the add-ons, you will request 1 free year of our platform. So you'll get the educational course, the online course, but instead of getting the add-ons, we will provide you with 1 free year of the PTS Primo Charting platform. This includes our scanner for $9.95. So you either have option 1 for $6.95, which is only the educational course, the online course. You can choose option number 2 if you want to stick with your own platform. Remember, this only gives you the up and down arrow add-ons, but it does not give you the fluid buy-sell line. If you want to solely focus on that, well, we will give you 1 free year of the platform for $9.95 as well. So there's 3 different ways to become a course member and to start trading with consistency. Now, for those of you who are saying, well, we get the platform, but all it's going to do is give me the up and down arrows as well as the fluid buy-sell line. No, there's so many more things included. You're going to get strategy number 4, all the enhanced buy-sell line features. You'll also get our strength of trend tool. This is a great tool I developed with Pro Trader Strategies that it has an uncanny ability to see if a market, regardless of time frame or direction, is running out of steam in the current trend. It's a great, great tool that comes included. You also get automatically generated exit levels. Now remember, in the course, we teach you upwards of 6 or 7 different ways to exit. This is one of those different ways, and it's automatically generated on the platform. Now here's what I'm most proud of though, the signal scanner, okay? We provide you with a signal scanner so that you can scan for these setups. If you're someone who likes to see what the setups are the next day, trust me, I used to do this years ago on the floor of the exchange. I looked through hundreds, if not thousands of charts on a nightly basis for strategy number 4 setups. You don't have to do that anymore. In roughly about 2 minutes, you'll be able to scan for markets, all the NASDAQ charts, the S&P, currency pairs, commodities, futures, and find out what the next day's strategy number 4 setups are. Let me share with you how simple it is on our scanner, okay? In the upper green strategy tab, instead of clicking on the signal arrows to find out the signals, all you have to do is click on scanner at the very bottom of that drop-down menu, and you'll see this page appear. It's the strategy number 4 scanner page, okay? Now, click on load symbols. We provide you once again with any symbol list you're interested in, all the different markets, the different exchanges, and you'll see them appear on a spreadsheet in like 30 seconds, okay? Now, after that, click on scan. And that's it. In about 30 seconds, you'll see a series of green or red bars. The green bars mean there's a buy signal. The red bars mean there's a sell signal in the corresponding stock. It's that simple. This process takes about less than 2 minutes every night to scan through hundreds of different markets, okay? Now, let's say you had this, let's say last week, okay? Okay, here's a signal you could have scanned for last week. Let's say you were interested in KOD. As we can see, KOD has been going up. I believe there were some buyout rumors. I'm not really sure, but this stock has gone straight up, okay? And someone would say, wow, I wish I would have been able to take advantage of this. Well, remember, the process, firstly, if you've been watching this, you would have known well in advance. Right back here, what do we have? We had 5 bars close, and then right at this point, look at the slope. So going from here on, you know that you're looking for strategy number 4 buy setups, okay? Now it's a simple, if you scanned, you would have been able to see that you had all these signals being generated since the beginning of October. But let's look at what happened here last week. If you had scanned last week, you would have seen that there were 2 signals being generated on the 25th and 26th of November, okay? So in 3 short days, you could have potentially captured 45 points in KOD. All right. Now, obviously, we didn't know why this gapped up, and at this point, we really don't care. All we know is that we would have gone long, and you would have had a potential of making 45 points in 3 days. Not bad from just scanning and seeing that this was a buy signal, right? Having the fluid buy-sell line would have really helped you because you would have had the confidence to take these trades. Why? Because you had a nice upward slope. So this is the PTS Primo Charting platform that really helps you learn how to trade strategy number 4. And trust me, a year from today, you will have wished you became a member of this course. We give you everything included in here, the platform, all the 4 steps in which to trade, along with the up and down arrows and the PTS Primo Charting platform fluid buy-sell line. Okay, remember, we gave you 3 different ways to become a member. You can just take the basic course for $6.95 or the 2 other options for $9.95, including the signals, or for $9.95 with 1 year of the PTS Primo Charting platform, okay? This is a great, great value, a great way to save some money. And on top of that, if you still need some help, I'm sure Pro Trader Strategies will be happy to work with you and develop some type of payment plan for you as well, okay? Here's how to take advantage of this. Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site, handles all of the tech support with the platform, as well as help me develop the courses. They're in charge of all the pricing and discounts. If you have any questions about pricing or the platform, I would suggest giving them a call or emailing them. You can call them directly at area code 310-598-6677 right here, because they would be happy to answer questions concerning the platform or answer any questions concerning putting together some type of payment plan, meaning that you can just put down a small deposit. If you can't come up with $9.95, that's okay. All you have to do is come up with a small deposit. You can still be up and running with the platform and with strategy number 4. Now, that link you see at the bottom is the link that takes you to the informational page, as well as signing up for any 3 of these options. But it's not a live link. They've posted a live link in the chat box on the GoToWebinar column on the far right, okay? So that's the one you want to click on, and that'll take you. Now, I promise I'd take any questions. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask while we have a little time left in the webinar. Just go to your question and answer box, type them in, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Someone's asking, what are the other platforms? If we decide to take option 2, what are some of the platforms we can get the add-ons for? Okay, they're probably just about all the major platforms you've ever traded. Let's say Sierra Charts, MT4, Ninja Trader, TradeStation, MetaStock, and also, yes, Thinkorswim, but there's a few slight alterations they have to make because of the process Thinkorswim is. But you can still, if you have Thinkorswim, yes, you'll be able to still get the add-ons for signals for that. Now, those are fine, and that's great. I think I've used about the majority of those platforms in the past, and they're all well and good. But trust me, we devised the PTS Primo charting platform to make it simple, because with those platforms, you still do not get the fluid buy-sell line with the different colors of the screen. And you can't see that really nice slope as defined by the fluid buy-sell line. So if I had to suggest anything, it's up to you ultimately. I would suggest taking option 3, which is for the same price, but you'll get a full year of our platform. And there are so many other things on our platform as well. Steve, what else is offered on the platform? Well, we told you about the automated exit signals as well. You also get the 4 different ways of viewing the fluid buy-sell line, different features. You also get the strength of trend tool. You get the scanner. There's also some other pattern recognition ways to determine the short-term trend. There's just a lot more. There's 90 of the most prominent technical indicators. And I think what goes without saying is we have a great tech support department. Most of the questions and tech support issues are handled in one day. So, I know with platforms that I've worked with in the past, sometimes it takes me weeks just to be able to load a chart or to get a scanner going, because the tech support, puts me on a waiting list, or they can't answer the question properly and I have to wait to get back to them. Most of the answers to our issues, the tech support issues, are answered, within minutes. So we have a great tech support department as well, okay? Someone is saying, which option would I take? Well, remember, you can take, I'm not telling you, I am strictly the teaching and educational portion of the company. But if you're asking me if I were learning as a student, I would take option 3, just my own personal, reference, because I would want to be able to use that fluid buy-sell line. That is a great tool. So, I personally would do that. And if that's out of your reach, monetary wise, don't worry. Pro Trader Strategies will be happy to work with you. They can devise a payment plan. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be happy to answer any question that you may have, okay? Okay, if those are all the questions, I just want to say in closing, thank you so much. I hope you learned something today. I hope you saw how simple this process can really be to get you on board to that level of consistency I know you've been searching for. Remember, we only have about 3 or 4 more weeks left in the year. Start out 2020 in the right direction. This is a great way to get on board with that. Take advantage of this great offer, because remember, after this offer, the price will go back to over $2,000 once again to get both of these things. So you really owe it to yourself to take advantage of this great discounted offer, okay? In closing, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. And as we take one last look at our disclaimer, thank you so much once again. I really wish you the best of luck going into 2020. But most of all, I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the Strategy Number 4 course. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in class. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.